let's go straight to our 15th team. Caleb, who did we put here?
We put the Washington Wizards. Kind of one of those tricky teams on where to place them. Bradley Beal had a monster year last year. They added Russell Westbrook. They drafted well. I mean, it's kind of a guessing game with where to rank them. Amir, tell me what they did this offseason.
No, this isn't guess. This is skill based. All right, we know. We put them at 15 because we felt like they had a decent offseason. Starting with the draft, they got Denny. And I know Caleb's not really a big fan of him, but
yeah, right. I love Denny.
Okay, no, you don't. He's been playing pretty well in preseason so far. I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to bring when regular season comes. They got Russell Westbrook in the trade. That's a little exciting to me because Bradley Beal and Russ is a dynamic backcourt for sure. It's going to be entertaining to say the least, I would say.
Oh, I concur with that. I think that's going to be a dynamic backcourt. I mean, what they lost really, John Wall, he's looked good for Houston in the preseason, but at the same time, I think Russell Westbrook's a better player, and you have more confidence with him being healthy. Jan Mahimi, they finally got out of that disastrous contract. I mean, they didn't really lose anything. I mean, the guy they lost, the best player they lost was John Wall, and they replaced him with Russell Westbrook. So they didn't get worse.
We'll see, though. Arguably, if you look at their roster, they might have got worse. And we don't know yet. It's too early to tell. But losing John Wall, we've seen already, and I know it's only preseason, and I know it's only been a few games, but John Wall hasn't lost a step. And we were talking about this earlier this week when he was playing this past weekend. And the fact that John Wall looks that good after coming off 2 major injuries and missing, 2.5 years? That definitely stands out to me.
Yeah. Hey, man, if it works, like I said, I think he'll do good. Like, we have Houston a little bit higher up, but I don't know, man. I think I like the way Westbrook and Beal fit together. I mean, those are two guys. What Westbrook averaged last year? 27, and Beal averaged like 29.8 or something.
Yeah.
They're gonna. I mean, I don't think they're both gonna average that much together, but they might. And truthfully, how many more backcourts are you taking over them?
Ooh, we'll get into that in a little bit. So hold that thought, actually. Real quick, let's go to their front court. Davis Bertans, they traded for him this past year, right?
Yes.
Why are you upset, Caleb?
Nah, the snowplow on my road, it's so loud. I had to mute the mic every 3 seconds.
Back to Davis Bertans. That's your twin brother right there. How did you feel about that pickup from the Wizards?
I was really high about that one because, one, he's a very good shooter, right? I mean, he's one of the few guys that, like, it doesn't matter where he catches it in the half court, it's gonna go up, and he's probably gonna make it. And I'm really excited to see how he plays with Westbrook and Beal. We know Westbrook likes to assist on at times, likes to stat pad, and I think that Bertans is really gonna succeed with that role playing next to him. But you got to think they got Bertans off of the most BS stuff ever because of Marcus Morris hoeing the Spurs. And one man's trash, another man's treasure, because San Antonio basically just had to dump him. They were like, look.
He wasn't trash, though, with San Antonio.
But the way they had to dump him, they were like, okay, well, Marcus Morris is coming here. We're going to get rid of you. But, like, Bertans was better than Marcus Morris. Like, a lot of people on the Celtics like to throw blame on that 1 year on Kyrie Irving, but it was really Terry Rozier and Marcus Morris that were just firing up shots. I would have taken Bertans over Marcus Morris 10 out of 10 times. So the fact that San Antonio was like, no, we got to dump him. Because let me ask you this. Does Marcus Morris really fit with the Greg Popovich offense? No.
Not at all.
So, and the fact
he's not a Greg Popovich type player either.
Exactly. And the fact Washington was like, okay, we'll take him. Like, that's a great move. And it's obviously panning. It's obviously working out well for them.
I agree with what you're saying. Davis has a lot of potential to be a really good player this year. Last year, we saw some flashes of him being one of those guys that you can rely on, especially as a shooter. But I really think with Westbrook and Beal now, that'll open up a lot of space. Now, obviously, Westbrook is not going to catch much defense on the three-point end, but most of his pressure is going to come when he's driving it. You know, Westbrook, he likes to get to the basket, and that's what he's best at. Scott Brooks is a perfect coach for him because he knows Westbrook's strengths. And they clearly get along. They clearly have a type of chemistry that works well. So hopefully that works out for him. Another player I want to get to real quick is Rui Hachimura. What do you think of him? We're going to get to him in a little bit, but just real quick, what do you think that getting Westbrook and getting Beal back as well as Davis back, what do you think that'll do for the Wizards?
I think they could have a really fun year. And I think Hachimura can really thrive playing next to those guys because young guys like him, I mean, he's not really a young guy, right? He's an older second-year player coming in this year. What is he, 22, 23? He's going to be ready to take a leap, and I think playing next to guys that can take pressure off of him, it's going to help him out a lot. And he can score. I mean, we know that from Gonzaga. He's a pretty good scorer. I'm excited for him going to next year. I'm really excited to see how this Wizards team plays because I feel like if all those guys are on, they could be one of the more dangerous teams in the East. Not saying they're going to go far, but if all those guys are on, it could be a really, really fun team to watch.
I completely agree. I see the Wizards as a scary team this year. We have to all just kind of keep an eye out on them because they could easily be a team that sneaks into a 5, even a 4th seed. I could see them crawling up to that home court advantage type of team. Let's move on. Let's go straight to our buy or sell segment. Let's go to Bradley Beal's new teammate, Russell Westbrook.
I think it's going to be a learning process. Brad's going to learn to me, and most importantly, I got to learn Brad because he's in a position where he can take off another step. And my job is to make sure that I help him and make the game very, very easy for him. And I'm going to make sure that I do my work and make sure that the game is easy for him when he steps on the floor.
There you got Russell Westbrook talking about Bradley Beal and about how he wants to help him step up his game even to that next level next year and hopefully get him to an all-star spot that he got snubbed at. Caleb, I want to ask you, and this is a little bit of a tricky question, but buy or sell, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal will be a top 3 backcourt in the league this year.
Well, without looking at the list, I'm going to buy that. But if you could, Amir, could you please list me 10 or so backcourts that you think are top 10? I want to see where I'd rank them amongst those guys.
Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum.
I'm taking the Wizards backcourt. I think the gap between Beal and McCollum is bigger than the gap between Dame and Westbrook. I really think Beal's that much better than McCollum.
I think you're severely underrating Damian Lillard.
Dude, like I said, though, but the gap between McCollum and Beal, it's way bigger than the gap between Dame and Westbrook.
I don't agree at all. I'm going to go yes. And, I mean, we've seen this backcourt for years. This is a backcourt that's made it to the Western Conference Finals. All right, you can't underrate them. They made it to the playoffs year after year, even last year after being injured and having probably no one healthy on that roster. They did a hell of a job, and yeah, they lost to the Lakers, but they did a hell of a run in the bubble, and you saw what Dame did. I mean, he is that type of player that can drop 50 on any given night. So,
but all he could win was one game against the Lakers. How many did Westbrook win against the Lakers? One.
That wasn't Westbrook. That was James Harden. Russell Westbrook did absolutely.
He was very, very bad in the bubble, but I'm still taking Westbrook and Beal over Dame and CJ.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move on. Devin Booker and Chris Paul.
Yes, they're better than them.
Chris
Paul's. I just don't know with Chris Paul's age. It feels like it's going to be any year he probably hits a wall. And, you've kind of been waiting on it the past 2 years, but I don't know. I'd still take those two over them.
Yeah, I think it's way too early to tell with these two. Just like it's way too early to tell with Russ and Beal.
But I just feel like the age gap between Chris Paul and Devin Booker, it's like you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like a weird feeling going into it. Like I don't really know how they're going to mesh. Because Beal and Westbrook, what are they separated by, like 3 years?
And they've both been on winning teams. Devin
Yeah.
Booker hasn't been to a playoff appearance in his whole career.
You know how angry Chris Paul gets.
Chris Paul is not the best teammate when he gets mad. We've seen it with Houston. He had a lot of problems with James Harden. So we'll see with that. Next up, your backcourt, Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown.
Wizards are better. Both players are better than the Celtics guys at that position. Move on. We don't need to talk anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna agree. I say the same thing. I don't think it's close either. De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield.
Yeah, Wizards. I'm taking the Wizards backcourt.
Put some respect on De'Aaron Fox's name.
Come on, I didn't put any respect on Kemba Walker or Jaylen Brown. I laughed at that.
Kyrie Irving and Spencer Dinwiddie.
Wizards. So yeah, I think once we're listing these guys, like I feel like you can make an argument for 2 backcourts, and then I think it's like, okay, so yeah, I would say that the Wizards backcourt is top 3, definitely.
I agree. I think they're definitely in the top 3 as well. So I'm gonna buy. Moving on, let's go to head coach Scott Brooks.
It definitely felt like old times. I've seen it. I've seen the intensity. I've seen him raise the group's level before. I'm sure the players didn't realize that that's what he does. But when you could tell that everybody locked in and everybody raised their level up, the thing that they're going to know that this is just not because it's his first day. This is who he is. That's how he prepares. That's how he gets ready, and that's how he's always like that. And
there's Scotty Brooks, head coach of the Washington Wizards, speaking on Russell Westbrook and saying how he's going to make a big impact this year and how excited he is to finally coach him once again. Caleb, my question to you. Scott Brooks is a good coach for the Washington Wizards. Buy or sell, he's the right fit.
I'm going to buy because I feel like him and Westbrook have that connection. You know what I mean? Like they understand each other. They have a good understanding of what Westbrook's good at. Westbrook knows what Scott Brooks expects on the court. I would say yes because, like, here's my thing. If you don't like Scott Brooks, who do you replace him with? You know what I mean? Like,
he sucks.
He might be bad, but, like, I would put him in the top 15 area of coaches, right?
No.
Yes. And
no.
Is there really a guy sitting out there that you could just go and pick up right now? Who?
Yes. There's probably, I'd say, multiple coaches that I would take easily.
Make an argument for Dave Yeager. I would say Dave Yeager could go in and be a better coach, but he doesn't have that understanding with Westbrook like Scott Brooks does, and I feel like that connection it kind of means a lot to the Wizards.
Etor Messina,
maybe, but does he have that connection with Westbrook? No, and I feel like Westbrook at 32, you're not going to want to bring in a new guy and try to mold a new offense around Westbrook. Kind of just going to let Westbrook do his thing. It's going to be Westbrook and Bill ball dominant offense. It's just how it's going to be. And maybe you can make an argument, but the clock's ticking on Westbrook already. You know what I mean? 32.
The clock's ticking on Scott Brooks already. All right, let's get to Scott Brooks real quick. Let's recap on what he did with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He had, let's see, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. No championships to show. Okay.
They went to the championship, and then Sam Presti got cheap and said, I don't want to pay James Harden. Had James Harden been paid, maybe they go back again, but I don't think Sam Presti was helping him out at all.
Okay, that's a fair argument. Sam Presti didn't do a good job. I think his biggest mistake, if you look at it, a ton of people say, biggest mistake was doing what? What did he decide was more valuable? Kendrick Perkins over James Harden. He really thought Kendrick Perkins was going to be more valuable than paying James Harden. Whatever, huge mistake. Obviously, James Harden's an MVP now. Debatable if it was even a huge mistake, though, because I would argue that James Harden absolutely choked in that finals. If you watch that finals, he did
struggle. But you got to think how young they all were. I mean, they were young.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with that. All I'm saying is Harden's playoff appearance hasn't changed much. He still doesn't show up in the big moments. I'm sorry, that's the truth. And
Wrong again.
Oh, let's go back to Scott Brooks, though. He's done a good job with the Wizards. And yes, he's had some series where he's done well. But what does he have to show for it? Still nothing. No finals appearances. No Eastern Conference finals appearances. Even when he was back with the Thunder, the year you talked about when they lost Harden, what happened? Oh, they went up 3-1 against the Warriors. They absolutely choked that series. That's on the coach. You make fun of Doc Rivers, but what about Scott Brooks? Scott Brooks has choked a 3-1 playoff series. Like, it's just – I think Scott Brooks is not a good coach. He has not done enough of a good job with any roster that he's had. He doesn't know how to utilize talent. And I just think he's a player's coach. You want that? Go get freaking Luke Walton. God damn it, get him off my roster. Sorry.
I'd still rather have Scott Brooks over Luke Walton.
Yeah.
I'd say Luke Walton's bottom 3 coach. I'm sorry I had to take a shot there, but I had to.
That's like saying you'd rather have Cinnamon Toast Crunch over Chex Mix.
It's common sense. You're right.
Let's move on. Let's go to our last guy, Rui Hachimura.
Yeah, so after the bubble, I went to LA. I went to the LA, and I was just hanging out for a little bit, and I went back to Japan for a little bit, and then came back and started working out more. But yeah, especially I was working on my threes, my ball handling and stuff, and yeah, it's been great. Like you said, I'm more confident in shooting threes and now. I play like a couple pickups and stuff and shoot more threes and stuff. And yeah, it gets more like, I feel like it's more about confidence and like, how much you put the work in and stuff. So yeah.
There's Rui saying he's really gained confidence over the offseason. And yeah, of course he's worked on his game, but he feels like what he lacks and what most NBA players lack to get to an all-star level is confidence. So Caleb, you tell me your confidence on this. Rui Hachimura will make a jump this season. Buy or sell?
I'm going to hold because it's my first one of the episode. Stop getting mad at me.
You always use your damn holds on like the hardest questions on something.
Exactly, because I don't want fans to get mad at me. I don't look stupid. So I'm using
We're experts. Show your expertise. Come on, let's go.
All right, I'm gonna go buy. Here's my question to you. What type of leap are we talking here? Are we talking like leap from like good scorer, good young player to like third option on a deep playoff run team?
I'm talking about leap. So leap doesn't mean that, he just averaged more points. I'm talking about he was a solid player, a contributor on a team, a young player that looks like he has a future to be an all-star.
Then I'm going to sell that. I think he can make a tiny leap, be a better player, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and say that he's going to make a massive leap like that.
I'm going to buy. And the reason I'm buying is I really like his game. I think his game is super raw. He has a lot of talent, but it's going to take time. And he reminds me a lot of Giannis. Yeah, Giannis, I'm not comparing the skill set, but
Are you comparing their skill sets? I see a lot of Paul Pierce in his game.
Yeah, well, he poops his pants on the court often, so.
Wow.
Rui's nice. I think he has a lot more potential than most people. Again, not a Giannis type of player, but he has the growth like him. I think he has the potential to take small leaps that eventually will get him not to an MVP level, but I think he can be an all-star in maybe 2 years. That might be a stretch, but what I mean by all-star potential is the ability to get there. Like Buddy in his last year with Dave Yeager. We saw that year where Buddy had huge growth. And, bro, there were people that were saying, I wouldn't trade Buddy Hield for Bradley Beal. So if Rui can make that type of jump, then yeah. But I don't know. I'm not fairly confident on this, but I'll still buy because you know why? I'm the expert.
All right, you're confident. That's what matters, I guess.
Next up,